Now you know all about fashion and Zalando, and perhaps you're eager to join their team, but if you're not a citizen of the EU and not enjoying free movement, it's not that easy. Mr. Kremers from Berlin Partner will tell you now all you need to know about visa and work permits. So welcome back, David Kramer. Thank you.
Thanks again for the introduction. Hello, welcome back. Yes, as mentioned before, I would like to give you an overview about the visa and work permit topic and let you know what kind of stumbling blocks and obstacles you might to solve or you have to solve and to take care of. Starting with the easiest part of yours, who doesn't need a work and residence permit, so all of yours which are citizens from the EU, you are free to move, free to choose the place of living, place of working, and the same occurs to people from Swiss and Norwegians and other from the European Economic Area. So this is quite easy in a way that you only need to come here to Berlin to look for an accommodation and to register yourself as a citizen, as an inhabitant of Berlin. That's it. Nothing more to say to EU citizens. Our other nationalities and citizenships are a bit more difficult, and we got 4 core questions which leads us to the answers. How can you get a work and residence permit, and which purposes are relevant to come to Berlin and to look for a job, for example. So main difference is from where are you from, what's your nationality, what is your qualification, what is the job title you want to apply for, and of course there's a question of the salary. This all determines and has an impact on where you should hand in the application, which authority must be involved, and what kind of residence and work permit you will be issued. So starting again with the easiest part of this field, we do have 7 privileged countries. That means Germany. There are contracts between these nationalities, between these countries and Germany, that citizens from the US, from Canada, South Korea, Israel, New Zealand, Australia, and Japan are allowed to enter Germany without a visa, just coming over by plane or however, staying here for up to 90 days for private issues. That means not to start working, that means looking for a job, staying here. And as long as citizens from these countries find a job or have a job offer from Berlin-based companies or German-based companies, they are able and they are allowed to apply within Germany for a residence and work permit. So it's a kind of much more comfortable instead of other countries we discuss later on. So people of these nations are able to enter Germany without a visa. That's easy. To look for a job here and then start the application process right here, straight ahead, at the immigration office. Instead of that, we do have all other countries beside these 7 nations, so-called third states, and all of these non-EU nationalities have to go via the respective German embassy in their country of residence. So in the country where you're living or in your home country where you are currently residing. For that, one important advice is in regard of the question, which documents are needed? What do I need to hand in for an application? Check out the websites of the German embassies. Each German embassy in each country do have an own website where you can double check what is needed, how to get an appointment to apply for residence and work permit. And there are also special information about several purposes of getting a work and residence visa or several residence permits. So please check out the official websites and do not use third-party information platforms or relocation platforms where you can't be sure about the content and its validity. So when you go to the embassy's website, you will see there are two main kind of visa you can apply for. First visa is so-called C or Schengen visa, which only makes sense for a stay up to 90 days, which is for private and touristic issues, because employment is not allowed. So it might be the easiest way to get a Schengen visa. The application way is quite easy, but it does not allow you to enter Germany and shift this Schengen visa into a work permit. If you are going to work in Germany, you need to apply for a D or national visa. So please be aware of that, because you are not allowed to shift the kind of visa after entering Germany. The national visa is in opposite to the first one for stays over 90 days, of course, and for several purposes like studying, work, job seeking, self-employment, language courses, or family reunion. So yeah, be aware of this difference in these two kinds of Schengen visa. Just in case you are going for a job interview, you want to come into Germany just only for this interview and go back to your home country, then Schengen visa should be sufficient. But I guess you would need to explain that to the responsible officer at the embassy and make sure that you will come back. So you might show a proof in a sense of having the tickets for the flight back home to make sure you will come back. Okay, for the day visa, for the national visa, when you apply for employment or job seeking, currently one special issue is requested. This is the question about qualification. Currently, mostly it's important to have a university degree. It's requested by the immigration law, and this university degree needs to be recognized in Germany. When you are following us the whole day, you might have heard about the ANABIN database and the authority for recognition of foreign degrees. And if you have a foreign university degree, I would recommend to double check. In the first step is your university, your degree, your subject recognized. And in the second step, your university needs to be recognized and marked with a H+ within this database. If you found both, just make a screenshot, PDF or whatever as a proof and hand it in with all the other documents at the embassy to show that your degree is recognized. If not, there are possibilities to recognize your university degree from abroad, but your upcoming employer might help you out in that process, as this is a bit of bureaucratical and also a very German language process. Yeah, second thing, what is important beside qualification is the kind of job title. I presented today in the morning a bit of the Berlin startup scenery, and some new job title came up within the last years. We needed to learn about what does it mean. What does it mean to be product owner, which is well-known job title in the ICT and startup scenery, but also what does it mean to be a happiness officer or a customer success manager. And we try to explain to each employer and company, try to use more general and well-known job title, because your work and residence permit will be tied to the job title. And in one company, you might be the chief happiness officer, and in the second company, you want to shift to this job has the same tasks, the same requirements, and the same responsibilities, but is called HR or human resource manager or whatever. So it wouldn't be allowed to shift without a reapplication. So try to discuss with your upcoming employer for a more generalistic job title, not that fancy new things like mentioned on this slide. If you want to make sure that it's a well-known job title, you might make use this Berufinet of the Federal Employment Agency, but you don't need to. But it's just kind of small advice in regard of the job title, which should be placed and stated in the work contract, as also in the job description, what your employer needs to hand in to get the approval from the Federal Employment Agency. Third aspect in regard of the application process, the salary is much important. There is a minimum salary stated by law here in Germany. Regular, this is not affected, or it's not taken into account, because we always talk about qualified jobs for you, and in that way we have different salary level for different roles and functions and industrial sectors. And every time your upcoming employer needs to show that the salary he is offering to you as applicant is in a range, in average of the region, in that way here Berlin, for the industrial sector he is working in, and stating that this salary level is competitive to the market. The Federal Employment Agency will double check this, and it can be, when the salary is too low, it can happen that the approval will be rejected and you don't get a work permit. So be aware that there is a minimum salary expected, differencing by the job experience, by the job title also. So there's a connection between job title and salary. And yeah, make clear to your upcoming employer that this needs to be in line with the market. In this regard, salary, there's one exception, an exceptional case. If you're a foreign student and want to come here for an internship, which is mandatory in as a part of your study abroad, then there's no salary requirement to be pay attention on. So that's free to negotiate. If you're going for mandatory for an internship on your own, with being enrolled, being graduated from university, but want to start with an internship at a Berlin-based company, this contract will be treated like a regular work contract and needs to be paid in line with the market too. So an internship after your graduation will be treated like a regular work contract. So this is in that regard not possible, not seen as an option. Yeah. Coming from the salary, there's one point which is affected. The most comfortable and most interesting work permit Germany offers. This is the Blue Card EU. There are some thresholds, two thresholds for salary thresholds to get the Blue Card. Blue Card is of interest because it's easier to bring your family with you. For example, the family members do not need some German language skills, as also they are allowed to work whatever they want. So if you get a blue card, your spouse would be allowed to work whatever he or she wants. But the blue card is only the best work permit Germany offers. You do not need to face the thresholds shown here on this slide. It's only about the best and most comfortable work permit. But you can get a work permit even if you don't raise these thresholds from the blue card. So in general, and we had this question before in our chat, which documents are requested? What is needed to get a work and residence permit in Germany, also for Berlin? In general, you need the listed documents. There are application forms presented and published and offered by the embassy as also the immigration officers. So application for residence permit, you need your resume, best case in German, English is also possible. Your university degree plus the attached ANABIN proofs, so the proof if the degree is recognized or not, as also your passport. Passport needs to be valid, I guess, at least 6 months. For the work permit, there's a special application form, the job description, a 2-page formula which needs to be filled in by your upcoming employer, as also the pre-approval of the employment agency is requested. The pre-approval can apply by, or your upcoming employer should go for that to the employer agent, Federal Employment Agency. And this speeds up the process at the embassy. So once you have this pre-approval and you hand it in with your application at the embassy, then your visa will be issued very fast and will not take up to 6 months or whatever you might have here, or whatever currently the waiting period is. If your family should come with you, then the same requirements are there. For each person, you need an application for residence permit, passport, birth certificate, as also the state recognition of the marriage. Best with a translation and an apostille. Yeah, finally, it is paperwork, yes, but good prepared and comprehensive application will be the most important factor for a successful application. In order to face the expectations of the embassy, check out their website for information and checklist. Again, this advice, please make use of these official websites of the German embassies. Then you will reach your goal and get one of these documents. On the left side, you will see that's an example for the so-called visa, which allows you to enter Germany, and once you applied for a D visum or national visum, this visa will allow you to start working at your employer. Needs to be shifted into the final work and residence permit, which is in the middle and on the right side. And this must be done at the immigration office and the local immigration office here in Berlin. And this will be the final work permit for you. Should be valid 1, 2, or 3 years, depending on the length of the work contract. If you have an unlimited work contract, the work and residence permit will regularly given for 3 up to 4 years. Yeah, this needs to be done after arriving. Once you have this visa, come into Germany, come into Berlin, finding an accommodation, getting registered, finding a health insurance, and then the visa can shift it into the long-term residence permit. Finally, there are some recommendations for your upcoming employers. Feel free to bring them in touch with us. The company I work for is Berlin Partner, and we are the governmental business economy agency, and we regularly work with companies and supporting them in bringing talents from abroad to Berlin. And this is our service. This is free of charge. So we can't help you in detail with our only with this information, but we can help your upcoming employer with all the details and how to go on in the process to bring you successfully to Berlin. So recommend us to your upcoming employer. Doesn't cost anything, it's free of charge, it's paid by the government of Berlin. And then some advice, and you might have heard of these platforms before this presentation. There are the link to the German embassies. You can choose the country where you are currently living in. Make it in Germany as a central platform for all German interested talents abroad. The Immigration Office of Berlin, which is a major important partner of our services, as also our welcome platform of Berlin, talentberlin.de. These services presented here are for you. To be honest, we can't help you out in detail. We are not acting like a relocation agency, but we would like to help you out with some advice and some tips afterwards in the chat. So please come around with your individual questions, and I will try to answer everything as best as possible. I thank you for your attention. Would like to see you again a few minutes later here in the chat. And that's from my side. Thank you for your interest.